Right guys, here is the video going through the answers to page 18 and 19. I cannot stress enough, if you haven't had a go at this yourself yet, please don't watch this video yet. Pause and just use this to check your answers, okay? Or if you're really stuck, just watch the first couple of questions or the first question and see if you can get started from there. Okay, so rectangle A is 12 by 18. Now, you don't really need the diagram, but I'm going to use it because it just helps me understand the problem. So 12 and 18, that length looks a bit longer to me, so I'm going to label it that way around. Just make my pen a bit thinner. Okay, and rectangle B is 14 by 21. Okay, and it's important to do it in that order because these two are the corresponding lengths and these two are corresponding with each other. Okay, so we need to find the scale factor between these two things. I've got two sides I could do it with. I could either do it with these or I could do it with these. Okay, so what do I times 12 by to get 14? Okay, if I want to know that, all I have to do is divide 14 by 12. So the scale factor is 14 divided by 12, or 14 over 12. And I'm just going to think about how I can simplify that fraction. I can divide both of them by 2, and that would give me 7 over 6. Okay, so the scale factor is 7/6. Okay, question number 2. We've got equilateral triangles, so all lengths are the same, and on this one they are 9 centimetres, and on triangle B they are 15. Okay, so how do I turn 9 into 15? Well, again, I'm just going to divide new by old, so 15 divided by 9, and I'm going to simplify this fraction, and I can divide by 3, so that's going to give me 5 over 3. Okay, and again that would be a recurring decimal, just like this one would be, so it's actually better just to leave it as a fraction. Okay, and finally the third one. Okay, again guys, if you've not had a go at any of these yourselves, I think there's two good examples to be able to do this one. Alright, so we've got sides of 3 centimetres on this triangle, sides of 5.5 on this one. Now, new divided by old, 5.5 divided by 3, doesn't really give me a fraction I can simplify. In fact, it's a fraction with a decimal in, so we don't really like those. So in simplifying this fraction, it's a bit unusual really, we're going to make it slightly bigger. Simplifying doesn't always mean we're making a fraction smaller. So I'm going to times both of these by 2, the numerator and denominator, and that gives me 11 over 6, and that is my scale factor. That's what this got times by. And you can check that if you've got your scientific calculators, you've got your fraction button, try timesing 3 by 11 over 6 and see if you get this. Okay, right, answers to page 19. So the example is what I used in the earlier video, and if you need to go back and watch the video on percentage increase and decrease, by all means do that, okay? It's on this playlist as well. Right, so I'll leave the example visible. Let's have a look at question number 1. The cost of a football strip increased from £90 to £120 between seasons. By what proportion did it increase? So like I said, this was something I'd probably use percentages for normally, unless it was a horrible percentage, you know, something with a recurring in it. So what I would do is divide new by old, 120 divided by 90. Could write that as a fraction as well. And in fact, I'm going to write it as a fraction. Now both of those are divisible by 30, and that gives me 4 over 3. Okay, so that's 1.3 recurring, 33.3 recurring percent. It's not a very nice percentage. Okay, this is instead equal to 1 and 1/3. Okay, and if you get this sort of thing on your calculator, I think you can just keep pressing the SD button and I think it will show it as a mixed number eventually. I could be wrong there. So it has increased by 1/3 is the answer. Okay, a shirt was reduced in price from £30 to £25 in a sale. By what proportion did it decrease? So again, divide new, which is 25, by old, Okay, and can I simplify that? Yes, these are both divisible by 5, so that gives me 5/6. Okay, so what is it decreased by? To go from a whole one to being 5/6, it must have decreased by 1/6. Okay. All right, so we're looking for the difference from 1, basically. If you look at this one, it has a difference of being a third more than 1. So that's an increase of a third. This is 1/6 less than a whole one. So it's a decrease of 1/6. Okay, moving on to number 3. The interest rate on a particular saving account was 1.5% in April. I think that's meant to say 2016. The following year, the interest rate had increased to 2.5%. By what proportion has the interest rate increased? Okay, so new divided by old, so 2.5 divided by 1.5. Okay, and this is one of those fractions where I'm going to actually make it bigger to simplify it. So I'm going to double these, 5/3, okay, which would be 1.6 recurring, but I'm going to leave it as a mixed number rather than a decimal. That's 1 2/3. Okay, so the rate has increased by 2/3. And the final question, well done if you've got this far and understood everything so far. Okay, the government recommends we eat 7 portions of fruit and vegetables every day. I ate 5 portions on Monday. What proportion of the recommended daily intake did I have? Okay, so this is a separate question to the one that follows. So if I've only eaten 5 and we were recommended to eat 7, then I have eaten 5/7 of the recommended amount. Okay, I increased my intake on Tuesday to 10 portions. Overall, what proportion of the recommended daily intake did I have? Now the key word here is overall. This is quite a trickier question than the ones before it. Now if we were just talking about Tuesday, then the proportion I've eaten is 10 out of the 7 that were recommended, or 1 3/7. So I've eaten 3/7 more than I needed to. But we're not just talking about Tuesday, we're talking about overall Monday and Tuesday. Okay, that's how I interpret this question. So on both days, we should have eaten 14 pieces of fruit and vegetable. And in total, if I had 10 on Tuesday and 5 on Monday, I've eaten 15 pieces. Okay, so what proportion of the recommended amount did I have? I've had 1 and 1 extra 14th. Okay, and that is the answer. Okay, that's how I interpret this question anyway. If it was just referring to Tuesday, then the answer would be 1 3/7. Okay guys, thanks for watching.